And now, you're tuned in to RBLR, the home of Tampa Bay's Reveler Sports.
Welcome into RBLR Bucs here at RBLR Sports. My name is Eureka, but I did not show up to camp alone on this night. I have with me my starting defender. He is a bully. He's a big man coming off the edge. That is Musaab. What's up, big man? How are you doing?
What's going on, Eureka? What's going on, listeners? I'm doing great. As always, I am very, very excited to be talking about some Tampa Bay football. And it's a special day today. And Eureka, I'm sure you can tell us why.
Man, because the veterans have reported to camp. The rookies have reported to camp. And reporting for the first time to RBLR Sports for camp is our very own newest man. That is Stephan. Stephan, welcome to the program, sir. How are you doing?
Doing great, boys. Glad to be joining. Very exciting times here in Tampa Bay. Just moved here about a week ago, too, so let's get the ball rolling.
So how does someone who wasn't living here more than a week ago follow the Buccaneers? How did this come to happen?
Well, I'm originally from Puerto Rico, but my dad went to University of South Florida, so been a Bucs fan. Been a Bucs fan since the Yuck times. So I'm happy to be here, and I guess we can call it the golden era, sort of, if we can go back to back. But very, very excited to be joining, and like I said, I've been a fan since probably I was born. I didn't really get an option. Being from Puerto Rico, there's no football, so you kind of follow lead there with my dad. So been a Bucs fan for a long time.
Well, we're happy, man. Musaab and I are both Bulls, man. Go Bulls. So we love that. We got to shout out your pops. My first question to you, sir, as you get on here for the first time, what was your overall impression of last year's team?
Well, of course, it'll be easy to say they were great, right? I mean, we won the Super Bowl in 18 years, but I would say the most impressive part for me, and what caught my eye, was going on the road. That Super Bowl run and going on the road. Like, has there truly ever been harder? People forget that the Washington game was actually our toughest game in a way. It was close all the way to the end. We opened up the Saints game late, and then Green Bay, we started off hot and then got close, but it wasn't really as close as Washington. So I would say going on the road, I was just extremely impressed with the defense aspect of it. They struggled a little bit to start the year, but then when they went on that 8-game hot streak, it was impressive, especially on the road against the type of quarterbacks they were facing.
Phenomenal, man. And as you reach back, you said you've been a fan since the Yucks time here. I won't ask you to bring up the bad memories, but I will ask you maybe just to get a little more of an impression out of you, man. What's some of your favorite Buccaneers of all time, and why do you like them so much?
Well, I'll start with Ronnie Barber.
Okay.
I can't believe he hasn't been a first ballot. But that's besides the point. But I would say probably because my fondest memory was Ronnie Barber intercepting Donovan McNabb to send us to the Super Bowl back in 2002. That was just a memory I'll never forget. Also, his stats are unbelievable. Another person I remember really early when I started watching early was Mike Allstott, just running over people. Especially the fullback is you don't see it as much anymore. Yeah. So it was really cool to always go back and remember those memories. Unfortunately, I don't want to pile on the Cleveland Browns, but there's this one image I always remember of him running over like 5 dudes, and that's in the actual Super Bowl DVD of the 2003. So that's another fond memory there.
All right, man. Well, that's I'm glad to have you on, man. I'm glad we were able to catch up with you, and we're gonna just hop right in, man. We're feet to the fire. Here we go, man. We do live reps immediately here in the show. So, Musaab, I'm gonna ask you first, sir. As the boys are reporting to camp, they've gone through a few days now. We've had guys like Antonio Brown just show up to camp for the first time today. It leads me to ask you a question about guys like Antonio Brown, who's getting over 30, and I have to go through a few of these aging guys and get both of your impressions on how much they have left in the gas tank. So, with the very first, right off the bat, we got to start with TB12, a guy who the news has come out that he had an undisclosed injury the entire year that not even the Buccaneers knew about. There's a lot of questions on did the Bucs maybe know or they didn't know, but regardless of that, he played the entire year with an injury. Another Super Bowl for TB12, but Musaab, how much is left in the tank of Tom Brady?
I think there is potentially a lot, but honestly, I think the only thing it really comes down to at this point now is making sure that our offensive line protects this man like it's $1 million. And I'm serious because I mean this is really it. I really don't see I don't see why he would mess up his body in any other way other than just getting sacked and then landing in some really bad way or something like that.
Yeah.
So that's really about it. I mean, honestly, that's all it really comes down to. So, and I know, listen, I know he's going to be taking, listen, every year, like every quarterback, I mean, you're going to be taking hits and stuff, obviously some more, some less, but long story short, I think that he has a lot left in the tank, but realistically, I'm going to say, I'm going to, I'm gonna say 4 years.
Okay,
realistically,
so we're not,
4 years.
We're not too far. I mean, the window is still open, and you got to think maybe with this question, I'm thinking maybe just for this year and next year, like is Tom Brady going to have the same like elite performance, or are we going to see him maybe regress? Okay. So okay. Stephan, I'll bring you in here, Stephan, man, with TB12. How impressive was he last year, and how much do you think this year he's going to replicate that success or be better or worse? What's he got in the tank?
Well, when we talk about last year, in his case, right, I mean, it was a whole new playbook, COVID year in a way, even though he went to the wrong house to get the playbook. But, I mean, he did get it. I would say that last year was impressive, and who knows how much that injury really affected him or not. But compared to other quarterbacks that have been in that system, he was particularly lower on his interceptions. I mean, more than he normally has, but lower than the average quarterback that's on that system. So I thought he performed great.
Yeah, I mean, I absolutely think that he did well in kind of containing like his short intermediate throws, with being able to uncork the no risk it, no biscuit. But I cut you off there. What else did you have?
No, so I was going to say, to answer the latter of your question, in the next 2 years, I mean, so I'm assuming that knee's all right now. I mean, he's already running and stuff, so it should be better another year under the system. I mean, he's getting more weapons, even though I didn't even think that was possible because OG will be back healthy, and there's all these reports about a few rookie receivers as well doing really well. So I think he'll be great. Now, I don't know if 4 years. That sounds like a stretch to me. But he's always said 45 is going on 44 in a week, so we'll see. But I think he'll be better this year, no doubt, though.
Yeah, man, 50's the new 40, bro. So, Musaab, man, maybe let's flip to the other side of the ball. We've got a few guys that are starting for the Bucs that are on the other side of 30. One of them being Ndamukong Suh. What do you see out of Ndamukong Suh and maybe on the other side too of that defensive end, William Golston? Maybe if I lump them together, what do you see is left in the tank of Suh and Golston?
I'm gonna say I think there's a lot left for Suh. I really do think so. I mean, he's had an interesting career so far, but. Overall, I think he has potential, and I just think it's just all about the right mentality. I think someone like him right now, he's happy where he's at. I mean, who wouldn't be with a champ? So he's happy where he's at, and it kind of comes with a different mindset. You're a lot more motivated. You're being a little more careful. Maybe when you're actually playing, you're trying to actually be a little more strategic rather than just play like a little angry bulldog or something. So again, like Tom Brady, I think if he plays his cards right, he does what he needs to. He's not pushing himself too much, but also not just slacking either. I think he has many years down the road. Now for Golston, I don't know. Golston for me, I wouldn't be surprised if it ends, at the end of this upcoming season, or if it ends in like 10 years. He kind of just reminds me of someone just been under the radar more than the other guys, and when you hear about him, it's all nice, and you do hear about him here and there every season that he's been playing. So for me, I'm gonna say probably similar to Tom Brady. I'm gonna say probably give him like maybe 3-4 years. Then I think he might just hang up the cleats. But I think Sue's gonna be longer than that. I think he can push it if he really wants to, and if he plays his cards right.
Stefan, I'll say it to you, man. With Ndamukong Suh and William Golston, these are two of my big question marks when we had Rich Silva on to talk about the Giants. That was his question to us, was who's your big question mark? And for me, it was our kind of aging defensive line. Is this something you see as a problem? What do you think's left in the tank for Suh and Golston?
So I'll start with Stu. I kind of tend to agree with Saab on this one. I think he's got the talent. So to me, the talent, Stu is not a big issue. To me, for him will be the desire, right? I mean, he just won a Super Bowl. He's got all these accolades. He just got married. He just got twins. A lot of stuff going outside of football for him, and he just won the Super Bowl. So how much desire is there left to keep playing and at that high level, and you're already 34, which is relatively not young, but or older, so it's kind of in the older side for a lineman. So we'll see there, but I think the talent's there, just more of the desire.
Well, and another person, if we go outside of the defensive line and go now to linebackers, I mean, you've got Jason Pierre-Paul, which we were kind of even wondering maybe last year kind of what he had in the tank. He turned in a solid year, as well as Levante David, who a little bit of injuries last year, a little bit of issues in pass coverage with Levante being a little older. But Musaab, man, how do you feel about these two guys on the outside and inside of the linebacking core?
Feel good about these guys. I really do. I mean, I think they're definitely gonna last longer than the other two, Golston and Sue. Really have it in them. I don't know. Maybe Jason Pierre-Paul's he's a vet. He's put in a lot of years. David's putting up his years as well. Things are gonna happen. At least for me, when it comes to Jason Pierre-Paul and Levante David, I feel like bad things happen a little bit more, in my opinion, for those guys, just because they run into a lot of collisions, end up landing the wrong way, something ends up happening. So you never know. That's the whole part of football that kind of makes it a little interesting, but. Kind of just ideally or realistically, maybe I'm gonna say, I think I don't know. I think honestly, right now, I don't think anyone really knows, because I think right now this is not even really on the board right now. So for that reason, I'm gonna say I think they got a lot left in the tank as well. They didn't really show me any kind of worries as others did, maybe I would say, throughout this season. So for that reason, I think they got a lot left in the tank.
Do you think the guys like maybe a guy like Levante David's going to maybe take a step back in the run game or the pass game, or what? Like, how do you think another year is going to slow him down? I mean, like I said, when we lost Devin White last year for a little bit, teams were kind of picking us apart in that middle of the zone. I know we had talked about that. Has it been Do you think it was maybe injuries, or was it just slowing down? Like, what do you, Musaab, think about what Lavonte David can bring to do better than he did last year?
His experience, I think I think in the long run, if he does have a lot left in the tank, yeah, I think he's just gonna step back and let the young guys put in the work and kind of just coach them a little bit, and then step in when he needs to. I think his role is just gonna be kind of turning slowly into a coach. I mean, I don't know, things are gonna happen, but if all goes well, then I see a lot of these dudes just staying here or, just calling it maybe after a few years or so. But I don't see anyone calling it anytime soon at all. I really don't, especially after a winning season like this. Unless something serious happens, like a really, really bad injury or something, I see a lot of these guys staying. And when I do see them staying, I see, kind of them just sagging back, coaching the young guys. I mean, listen, if I was one of these guys, I would, kind of really care about this team because, we just won a championship, especially the vets, especially these dudes like Lavonte David, what do you call Peter Paul, what do you call like even Ronald
JPP,
Jones,
yep.
yeah, Cameron Brate, these dudes who've been on the while, so who've been on a while on the team, so that's really about it. I mean, I'd be just kind of laying back, kind of just investing in the franchise, just having people who can, coach the young dudes. We need people who have these young guys back. That's all it really comes down to. At the end of the day, I think my biggest philosophy that I saw throughout this season, especially with our backups, was, we succeeded because our backups stepped up when they needed to. A lot of times they came really clutch. The first one that always comes to my mind is Mr. Tyler Johnson. His third down conversions, I still remember, especially during that playoff run. So long story short, yeah, I mean, I think a lot of our guys got it, a lot left in the tank unless something happens, but, we'll see. But that's really about it,
Okay.
I think a lot of these guys are hyped up. They really want to invest in, this organization now. They're fired up. I think everything's looking good, even with a lot of winning teams in the past, you always end up hearing like, random things, controversial things, or who knows what it is, maybe rumors. But I don't know. I have a feeling that, I feel like there's like a really nice bond with all these guys, especially because it was like, what the big thing was? And I finally kind of, just to summarize it all, and I'm sorry for rambling, but
You're going places, buddy.
I am. Here's what I'm going to summarize. I think this season was extremely special to every single one of those guys because this was like a clean slate season. Your buddy Tom Brady's leading it, and your first year, clean slate, you're champions. So that's like really, really awesome. I mean, that really fires you up. So that's really about it. I mean, I see all these guys really putting in the work. I think that they're all really, really motivated. I hope they are. I hope they're not, sagging off just because of the champions.
Yeah.
I'd be really disappointed, but I don't think so. Knowing Tom Brady and knowing Bruce Arians, I don't think so at all. So I'm fired up. I'm probably more fired up than them.
Well, let me bring it back, Stephan. Let's get you in here, man. Bringing it back down to maybe JPP here, a guy who, I mean, both Lavonte and JPP started, but all 16 games for the Bucs last year. Lavonte, I mean, over 100 tackles. I mean, just a ton of tackles for him. JPP, man, in his Pro Bowl year last year, 14 quarterback hits. 9.5 sacks. I mean, I mean, he's a key member of why this defense was so great. Do you think JPP has it in him to have another year like that, gas in the tank for this year?
Absolutely. Absolutely. When we were talking earlier about Sue and Desire, does anyone want him more than JPP? I mean, the man is on fire. I mean, ever since he's been a Buck, when we, even offline, we had a few conversations. I believe that's one of the best traits in Bucs history. So yeah, I think no problem there. I don't see any decline or anything in JPP. He does get his weekly rest as well. The Bruce Arians is real nice with those. But moving on to Levante, again, I do think that when Levante, one or the other doesn't play, we're always going to see a little bit of decline. Even though I thought Kevin Minter played well when White went off, but you see a decline. But Levante, no, I mean, I'm just happy for him. One, he's finally getting his due. It took him a while, and then to your point, over 100 tackles again. I mean, this dude's just the ultimate buck. I mean, he's been there through the lean years, and now I don't see him slowing down. He probably goes, whenever Brady retires, he'll probably I hope Levante retires as a Buck. So I don't see any decline coming there either, especially if the pressure's there with Vita Vea healthy, and you will have injuries, but hopefully that part of the defense stays as healthy as possible. When that pressure's getting home, I mean, Levante and Devin White it's outstanding.
Yeah, and Musaab even brought up Levante David's veteran leadership, just being there, knowing what to do, is a central key force for the Bucs. Well, let's move along. So we've been talking about some of the elder statesmen on the roster. I kind of wanted to open it up for you guys to kind of see what each other thought about some of the other guys, that aren't maybe the Antonio Browns, Tom Brady's, JPP's, the Ndamukong Suh's. A lot of those guys are the older elder statesmen, like I said. Musaab, man, who did you want to bring up first? Let's do a little bit of maybe will they be better or will they be worse? Musaab, who do you got first that you'd like to bring up?
I'm coming in with something high, Eureka. For my listeners, if you've been listening, your eyes might open a little bit. I'm going to start with Mr. Blaine Gabbert.
Ooh, okay.
All right. Yeah. Yep. And you know what I'm going to say? I think he's going to be better when he gets the opportunities. Okay. I really do think so. I think, listen, we're champions. He's, under Tom Brady's wing right now. I mean, obviously, as of right now, he's definitely the second string. That's the way everyone sees it right now. I'm sure even Coach Arians sees that right now because obviously, Trask hasn't even played one NFL game.
It's pretty safe to say, yeah.
So for now, yeah. So, and I mean, listen, you got to do like Kyle Trask kind of behind you. I mean, obviously he's not no first round pick, top 10 pick QB or something like that. Sure. But I mean, yeah, listen, he did great. But long story short, I think he's gonna do better because he's got a chip on his shoulder. He is, he's getting older. I'm sure he actually wants to contribute a little bit more. And I think he will. I really do think so. I think he's going to get the opportunities. Now it's up to him. Now it's all up to him. I think he will. I think Kyle Trask, I mean, realistically, listen, I love the guy, and I mean, I'll always, hype up the dude, but he's only going to be getting the reps in if Blaine Gabbert's really not looking that good, if he's really playing like straight up mediocre, and Coach Arians is like, you know what, Gabbert's, he's a solid mediocre dude. We kind of solidified that. All right, Trask, now it's your turn. But we'll see when that time comes. I don't know. Maybe they'll have a little second string battle in in the later games of the season. We'll see. But I think Blaine Gabbert's going to be better. He's got the vision. I just think that he needs just a little more playing time. I think Blaine Gabbert's someone I think that could actually shine if he was a first string. And I know he was in the past, but I just think that the older dudes, especially the older QBs, they got something special in them. It's the vision, the leadership. That's what makes Tom Brady so special. He doesn't have legs like Lamar Jackson, so he can just rack up touchdowns. He's just got a great arm and a great brain for football. So I think Blaine Gabbert year by year is just getting a little bit of that, and especially being that we're Super Bowl champions. He is, I think he's ready to, battle it out with Kyle Trask. I think, being a second string is, I think is a really big deal because, I mean, if anything happens to that first string, even for like 5 minutes, a little hand injury, it's your turn, buddy. So, you got to do something, and, all eyes are on you because you're second string for a reason. Coach put you on second string because you're second string. So, either you prove that you are always going to be second string or maybe even third string, or this is your shot to show them this year, you want to be first string. So I think he's going to try to do that. Or I just think that he's just going to be just that really trustworthy second string guy. And whenever Coach Arians thinks it's right for Kyle Trask to go in, he'll just toss him in here and there. But I've just come down to just realize that, realistically, I just think that if we really want to have a successful season, we're definitely going to have to let Blaine Gabbert definitely start for sure. At first, I was a little like, come on, let Trask go second string. But now I'm like, you know what? I think let's play it safe right now. Let's stay fired up and let's play it safe. Stephan, what do you think about Blaine Gabbert?
Well, I must say that was coming out of left field right there. I wasn't expecting that one. But I will say, I think that you do have a point. I mean, he's the older statesman there with Ryan Griffin and Kyle Trask. But Ryan Griffin's been in a long time in that QB room as well. So, it's going to be interesting. I think, to your point, he's been a starter before. I don't think it's fair to judge him where he was before just because there wasn't a lot of talent around him. Now, the Bucs have talent left and right. So, second string would be – I think to your point, it's a big deal because, you want one injury away, but I don't even want to have to think about that. But I think you'll be better because there is competition in that room with now Trask and Ryan Griffin is, fighting for a spot there as well. And, obviously Tom has one, but between them three, because I don't think they'll dress up four. So, it'll be an interesting battle for sure. Before I throw you one, something to think about here. How about Winfield Jr.? Will he be better or worse? In my opinion, I don't know if he's going to have a sophomore slump. He's got even though the secondary is young, he's got he's got good company there with Carlton Davis being there a few years, and they all went through a lot. They were all criticized heavily, including myself at the start of the year. So I don't think he will, especially, just because to your point, Tom Brady's leadership in that locker room is not really going to let anyone slack. And he also has his dad who played, which probably helps a lot as well, playing the same position. So what do you think about it?
Well, here's what I think. I don't think he's going to have a sophomore slump either. I think he's someone who's really fired up. I mean, what he did at that Super Bowl game shows you that, I mean, he's rated even to even kind of get up in the stars, the NFL stars faces and, let them know what's up, So, I think he's right. I think he's going to have a really good season, honestly. When he did that little peace sign to Tyreek Hill, it kind of reminded me a little bit of it kind of gave me a little kind of like a little Jalen Ramsey attitude, someone who's like, ready to start talking their talk. Obviously he started a little late, but I think Antoine Winfield is going to have a really good season. I think he's definitely someone who people I don't think all, but I think a lot of people do put him just under the radar because they're thinking about other guys. But I think he's definitely someone to look out for. And when it comes to the DB unit, Stephan, I'm going to say he's going to be my guy to be looking at. He's going to be the first DB I'm going to be looking at when it comes to defense, and especially out of all those first stringers, I'm going to be looking at him because, I don't know, his style of play, kind of, what he does after the whistle or right before the whistle, getting up in people's faces. It's entertaining as well, but I think he's picked up on a lot of things. You can tell that he's ready to clash heads. He's not a scared rookie or not a scared sophomore either. So he's ready to go at it. So yeah, I mean that's what I think. So now my next guy, I'm gonna have to go with. It's a tough decision, but I'm going to say I'm going to have to go with Donovan Smith. And I'm going to tell you why. And I'm going to tell you why Donovan Smith is going to be I don't think he's gonna be like, oh my gosh, like he's gonna rock it or whatever. But I think he's gonna do. He's definitely gonna do better than last season. I think he's gonna do a solid job. I think people are gonna be like, you know what, Donovan, you look really good this season. You know, you're looking a lot better than last year. I don't think he's gonna have some superstar season. I don't think he has that kind of caliber. But long story short, I think Donovan Smith, he's gonna be better this year. Um, I think again, just with a lot of these guys, you know, I know it sounds like I'm saying the same thing, but I just feel like again, Donovan's like a, you know, he's basically like a veteran to me the way I see it. So he's fired up. I feel like he knows that, you know, he has a, you know, he's had his ups and downs, and he's trying to make sure that, you know, hey, listen, he has the most important job, which is making sure we protect Tom Brady. All right. So if listen, if he wants to get his spot taken, or you know, I mean, I don't know how we're gonna do it with Josh Wells or Brad Seaton, but um, I don't think that's gonna happen. Long story short, I think he same kind of vibe as Blaine Gabbert, but I mean, this is like a first stringer vibe slash, yo, I have to protect the quarterback kind of vibe. So I don't think he's gonna want to screw up at all. I think he's gonna be on his tippy toes the whole season. Um, I really do think so. So, what do you think?
That's an interesting one as well. Yeah, you're hitting me with good ones. Donovan Smith. Over the years, I have to say I'm one of the first people to criticize him all the time. I think he's realized there's a very important man behind him now. As we saw during the whole playoff run, I think he had a bumpy start to the year, and midway kind of started to figure it out. But I think to your point, I think he'll be solid. He's a veteran. He now knows what it means to win, how hard it is, and you got to protect the guy that's behind there. So I think you'll have a solid season as well, and hopefully he can stay healthy because I think we're a little thin in backups there as well. So hopefully he can stay healthy. I'm going to bring up another guy here that I want to get your thoughts in, and I'll tell you why I think he's going to be better. And then let me know what you think. So how about OJ Howard? I know we didn't see a lot of him because of the injury. But he's really, if we really think about it, he hasn't lived up to that hype of being, a top draft pick there. And I think he'll have a breakout season finally. Everyone, Mike Evans getting double coverage, even Godwin now who got paid, and you got Gronk. And if we run the two tight end set, I think you'll have a better year just because you'll be a lot of one-on-ones, and there's not a lot of linebackers that can line up and go at it with him one-on-one. So what are your thoughts there?
For me, I'm gonna have to say that's a good take because yeah, I mean you're right. We really haven't seen much of him at all recently. So for that reason, it's really hard to say how he's gonna be until we see him first game he plays. But he has a look. He has the potential to be amazing. Now it's really up to him slash kind of his body based on what he's been through to see what he can do. He's gonna have to put in the work. I don't think I think he's gonna be having a little similar kind of season like Antonio Brown, a little slow start, but he'll start warming up towards the end of the season where he's definitely got his name out there. People are talking about him when he plays. So yeah, I agree with you. I just think that it's not gonna be in the beginning. I just think that there's not. I think honestly, I really do think he's probably just gonna have like a Rob Gronkowski kind of season, if anything. Rob, but maybe a little less blocking, kind of just less catches too. We got so many weapons as well, so throwing to OJ Howard is not always, or yeah, it's just not. It's not the first choice always. So for that reason, I'm gonna say he's probably just gonna be like okay, or he'll just get minimum reps or whatever. But if things go well, then I think yeah he's gonna start shining later towards the end of the season and during the playoffs because obviously we're gonna make the playoffs.
Oh yeah.
So now I want to go on to well they're not like a superstar, but I want to know what you think about them, kind of compared to the rest of the linebacker unit. And that is, well, here's what I'll ask. First, I'll ask, well, first, the first person I want, first, the person I want to talk about is Mr. Joe Tryon. All right, our rookie, Mr. Man of the Hour, basically. Mr. Had to sit out because he was going through some stuff. But hey, I think, honestly, for me, I think this year, I don't think he's going to be our star rookie. I really don't think so. I anticipate him to be it, but I just have a feeling that someone else is just gonna, I don't know, shine, or I just think that he's just not like gonna just really have that opportunity to just really ball out his first season. And I don't know. I just feel like there's just something going on. I don't know what happened with the whole kind of injury, sickness, illness. I don't really know what was specifically going on. Him kind of just sitting back or not, sitting out. Because then it made a lot of people wonder, was that something that we knew before or after the draft? So he's kind of someone like up in the air, but I wanted to bring him up because I just think that he's just going to be someone like Kyle Trask. I mean, I feel like most people end up, having that similar kind of season, just getting their reps in whenever they can. And, now then it really just comes down to them showing out when they can. So for that, I think he's just gonna have like a decent season. That's just because he just doesn't get that many reps in unless we go through some injuries. If you go through some injuries, now it's a whole different ball game, and now we're talking something different. And that's going to be really, really interesting to see because now it's going to be like, we got Cam Gill, Joe Tryon, Anthony Nelson, and we even got Leighton McCarthy. So, we'll see what happens if injuries come up. But if they don't, then I'm going to say that he's probably just going to have an okay season. I wouldn't be surprised if he really doesn't even look good at all because it's his first season. So for that reason, I'm going to say he might not even, I think he's actually going to go down. Now, I know he's a rookie, so he didn't even play last year. But based on what people anticipate him kind of playing like this upcoming season, I just think that he's actually not going to be that good. I just think that something's just going to happen, whether that be the opportunities he gets or maybe just because things just didn't work out. I don't know, but I don't think he's going to be horrible. It's going to be like, oh my God, what a horrible first pick. I just don't think that we're going to look back and be like, wow, this was such a great pick. I'm so happy we got this guy instead of him, or him. I don't think he's going to be like one of those guys. So for that reason, I'm going to say he might even just have like a downhill maybe kind of season or not even like a relevant season at all. What do you think, Stefan?
So I tend to agree with you there. Actually, as soon as you said it, I literally wrote down, where will he fit in this rotation, right? I mean, barring any injury, unless you're rotating those people in and out, I just don't see where his spot is. And again, a whole year without football is a long time to not play football. And then in training camp, having some issues there as well. Even there, the rookie minicamp. So I don't know where he fits. I mean, his highlights that I've looked at look good. I mean, it's college football. It's way faster now, and the guys are way bigger. So it'll be interesting to see. But I just don't see where he fits in that rotation. I mean, and I don't want any injury to happen, and we all know they happen. So it'll be interesting where he fits. So I will tend to agree with you there. I see. I don't want to call it a down year because it's not fair. Depending on how much playing time he gets. So if he is just like a second stringer and comes in and out, it's probably not going to live up to what people think. But I'll move on to another one here that I kind of want to bring up, and I think he'll have a better year. And again, I'm sorry for listeners for piling up on the DBs. But what about Sean Murphy-Bunting? I mean, he struggled big time really in the year, but what a way to show up in the playoffs. I mean, interceptions. He intercepted 2 Hall of Famers, so we can start there. And it was a great pick, especially the Green Bay one. I mean, that was just a game-changing play and the touchdown right after it. So I think he'll have a better year. I'm interested to see where he lands in the depth chart. It would be 1, 2, him and Carlton Davis. So that battle will be something to see in training camp. I think he'll just have a better year, more experience, knowing how that playoff atmosphere feels, and another year under his belt. I think he'll play closer to what he played in the playoffs in the beginning of the season. What do you think there, Musaab?
Yeah, I can see that happening. I think, the way I see Sean Murphy-Bunting is someone who's just had his ups and downs, and when he had his ups, he looked real good, but when he had his downs, there was times, when we saw him when he had his downs where it was like, oh man, it just didn't feel good. So, but I just think that again, we are the champions. I feel like that just straightens up everyone. That puts everyone on their tippy toes. When you're the defending champion. When you're the dude with, when you're the only person in the, in the whole area with, with the championship belt. You're walking around town with it, knowing, you're the champ. You got to be on your tippy toes because you never know, someone might want to snatch that from you. So what that kind of means in football terms is, you can't be messing around anymore. You can't be messing up. You got to be on your tippy toes, meaning, you got to be putting in work. You really got to be ready. You got to give it your all. You can't give up. Honestly, you just have to give it your all. We got to do better than last season because, listen, I know we were champs last season, but I think that was just because we just picked up like really well in the second half of the season. First half was a sloppy. All right, I guess maybe we can just blame that because it was like a fresh start. Everyone's kind of getting to know each other, but then again, exactly, we're all good now. We've all been playing for a year, obviously, minus the rookies and maybe a few other players. But minus all that, we're the champs. Everyone knows everyone. I feel like everyone kind of knows the style of play. Staff is basically the same as well. For our coaching staff, which I think is a little relevant as well to bring up because when there are changes in staff, sometimes there can be changes in kind of player development. So hey, listen, we're running it back, and for that reason, I think Sean Murphy-Bunting, along with the rest of the team, basically, we're all going to be on our tippy toes, ready to fight, ready to give it all, and ready to win another Super Bowl championship.
Let's go.
Yeah, man. As I step back in here, man, a lot of good things to think about with some of these guys that aren't right off the top of the depth chart. Some good questions about will they be better than last year, and really it's going to take a whole team effort, and it's one of the things that BA has been bringing up here in the beginning of training camp is that like last year was last year. We're turning the page. We haven't done anything yet, and we're going to need guys like O.J. Howard to step up. Got new guys like Joe Tryon to provide good depth in this team, and maybe even like Musaab was saying, if there's an injury or two, you might have to step up and get more reps. So it would be intriguing as we kind of sit here and just kind of set the table for what we're looking for. I guess maybe I'll ask you to give me a couple more guys. I'll start with you, Stephan. Maybe is there a guy or two? Musaab likes to use the term unsung hero, and I think that fits. But maybe there's a guy that we're not talking about. He's under the radar. That's going to be a key person for this 2021 Buccaneers team.
Yeah, I'm gonna start, and I hate to bring it up because I don't want to jinx it. So knock on wood here, everyone. But I'm gonna start with Ryan Suckup.
Wow.
What a way to bounce back. Our kicking woes have been haunting us ever since we drafted one, which I won't even mention. But I think Ryan Suckup. But Ryan Suckup, I think is something to be talked about. He is a journeyman, but he kicked unbelievable. If I remember correctly, it's like 28 out of 31 which puts him in the 90 percentile, which is outstanding for a kicker these days, especially since they moved the extra point a little further. But my only concern when I did some research there is he's only done it twice in 12 years, right? He's had some pretty awful down years as well. He's been in the 60s, 50s. So hoping that now that he got paid, he got re-signed, hoping that the consistency stays there. I mean, I was one that even when we were going 8-8, 9-7, we would score a touchdown. And here I wouldn't leave to go grab the next beer. I would actually have to sit down to watch the extra point. Didn't happen as much this year. So I think that's someone to talk about there.
Yeah, I mean, you look at Ryan Suckup, like you said, he 90%, 52 out of 57 last year, and he kicked even a 50-yarder. So I mean, it wasn't, as much as we didn't really need the long ball from the field goal unit, pretty consistent, and on extra points as well, 91.2%, but that's kind of misleading if you're looking at his career numbers, because we've moved the extra point back, so now it's more of a 30-something yard field goal, right? Musaab, man, who's your unsung hero, your key contributor that maybe we're not talking about yet?
My key contributor is Cameron Brate. I just think that he is someone who just comes up really clutch. I think that, especially during the beginning of the season, personally, I just thought things weren't looking too hot for Rob Gronkowski minus his blocking. So the only tight end that was relevant at that time was Cameron Brate, and I think he did a pretty solid job. And throughout the season, I think he did really good too. He's my unsung hero. I just think that he's someone who is a very important role player. He is someone who helps us get down the field, in every single one of those games. Every single one of those games, he helped us get us down the field. And that, kind of goes hand in hand with Mr. Ryan Suckup. So, because when we go down the field and, if things are looking a little rough, we can't score, it's fourth down, then we can get a field goal. So, and I really want to emphasize, as Stephan was mentioning, Ryan Suckup, listen, you can't be Super Bowl champions with a kicker like Roberto Aguayo. All right?
Yeah.
So, yeah, you need to have a kicker like Mr. Ryan Suckup to be a champ. So, I just wanted to emphasize that point, because I just think that it's just a lot of games come down to those field goals.
Yeah.
And I'm sure a lot of coaches in the past have just balled out in the office because they knew that they made the wrong pick for a kicker, or the wrong trade, or the wrong signing. And the GMs are in the office, probably papers thrown everywhere. That's what I'm imagining Jason Light's office when Roberto Aguayo was on our team. Well, not even just Roberto Aguayo, everyone. When all of our kickers in the past were on our team, I just imagine, those dudes is going back home with a shot of whiskey, and, wife or kids are like, long night, Dad. And they're like, well, son, I'm sure you saw on the TV, but our kickers ain't looking too hot.
You're bringing up Adam Sandler's The Loneliest Kicker vibes here. If you haven't seen that before, it's pretty funny. It kind of goes into exactly what you're talking about. But Cameron Brate, man, here's a guy who had a great year last year, and you might not have thought of it if you don't think of a giant like big Cameron Brate scoring thing, because he only had a couple touchdowns. However, 82% catch rate. When Brady's throwing him the ball, he's catching it, and he hasn't had that high of a catch rate in his whole career. And he's played 14 to 16 games, every year of his career. Other than his rookie year, he only played 5 games. But 82% catch rate, amazing pickup from him, where he normally is in the 60 to 75% range. And he played every regular season game. He only made one start, so he's a guy you definitely are relying on. And I agree, man. He's one of these guys that it doesn't come to mind. Super Bowl champion Cameron Brate doesn't really come to your mind until you think about it. But he's one of these guys. So. My last question, Stephan, this is going to be for you, man, because I know you've said you're going to camp. You're going to camp this year. So what day are you going, and what do you expect out of the experience of Buccaneers camp?
So, my first time ever going in person, I used to be one of those fans that, saw the live stream, et cetera, et cetera. So I'm very excited. I'll be going on Saturday morning, 7:30 in the morning, so bright and early. So that'll be fun. But, I think, that what I'm looking for most is to see the fan experience. I'm a big Mike Evans fan. I don't think he gets a lot of credit. And, seeing him with the people the other day, jumping that fence in training camp and high-fiving people, and then even the ring ceremony, sharing it with the fans, just one of the people. And, hopefully, I get a similar experience, or even just to see these guys, up close. A lot of hype around Jalen Darden. That's going to be interesting to watch as well. And for me, the running back battle, I want to see those who can catch the ball. That's going to be, besides Giovanni Bernard, and it's going to be very interesting. I'm super excited. I've never seen it in person, like I said, and it'll be really cool to just even compare my height. I'm a tiny dude, so it'll be funny to just stand and see Tom Brady and Mike and all these guys just be huge next to me.
That's great, man. Well, I'm excited for you, dude. I can't wait to hear about your experience next week on the pod. As I think we're gonna start dialing it, and starting next week, we're gonna look over the game film or the practice film. We're gonna look into what everyone's talking about, and we will start our kind of analysis of the 2021 season. No more woulda, coulda, shouldas. Maybe it's time to start getting down to brass tacks and who is actually performing for this year, because Bruce Arians will be the first one to tell you we can sit on our rings and be happy, but or we can do the work and get another one. So Musaab, man, as we wrap up, I'm going to ask you final thoughts for you as we get ready to really dig into training camp.
Yeah, word of the day is, or two words of the day are fired up. I'm sure you heard me say that a lot. And I am fired up for this upcoming season. Week by week, I get more and more excited. I'm really, really, really hyped to, for our first game. You best believe I'm wearing my Devin White jersey, our first game. And you best believe it has the Super Bowl patch on it. You best believe it's the real version, and I bet it on February 8th, like 11:55 p.m. after we won.
Well, guys, before we get out of here, there's one more thing to say, and that's to our listeners. Thank you so much. And wherever you're hearing this, if this is your first time listening, if you're on Apple Podcasts or Google Podcasts, Spotify, iHeartRadio, YouTube, you name it, we are on all major podcast platforms. All you have to do is spend 1 second, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, and that way you get not only the Bucs every single week, but you will get our Rowdies coverage, our Rays coverage, our Lightning coverage, and even more in the future. Can't stress enough how happy we are to bring on Stephan for his first show, man. Our newest member of the crew. Will give you the final word here. I guess the last thing I'll ask my listeners to do is please, if you're on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, we are at RBLR Sports. If you just look up RBLR Sports, hit that follow button, and you will get all of our content. So, Stephan, man, it is all yours. You get the last word of the day as we sign off, my man. Good first show. Can't wait to hear more from you, buddy. How you feeling, and what do you got for us as we sign off for this episode of RBLR Bucs?
Hey, listeners, it was a pleasure to be joining the crew. I'm very excited to keep working next to two amazing dudes who know a lot of football. Extremely excited to go to training camp and bring back some feedback for you guys. And, let's go Bucs, man. Let's do this back to back to hopefully back, Let's keep the ball rolling.
All right, guys. Well, the only last thing is from everyone here at RBLR Sports, we say thank you and go Bucs.
Go Bucs.
Thank you for tuning into this presentation by RBLR Sports. On your way out of the stadium, please remember to like and subscribe.